Run your law firm the right way. This is the Maximum Liar Podcast. Your hosts, Jim Hacking and Tyson Mutrux. Let's partner up and maximize your firm. Welcome to the show.
Hey, it's Tyson again, and I'm excited to join you once again for a quick episode. And today we're going to shine a spotlight on a daily habit that can significantly impact your productivity and your performance. Before I get into that, I want to make sure that if you have something that you want me to cover on a show, I'd love for you to text me at 314-501-9260. We're getting a lot of great ideas for episodes, so make sure you do shoot me a text with anything you want me to cover or really anything else you want to say to me or the show. Today's episode, it's about a powerful and practical approach to getting things done. It's focusing on your top 3 tasks for the day. It's something that I've done for a very long time. It's a concept that I've seen transform the way many professionals, including many law firm owners that I know, tackle their busy schedules. I first learned of this sort of idea of a concept from John Fisher, and he talked about his top 5. I'll talk in a little bit of why I think that that's too many, but I think the top 3 is a really, really great way of propelling your firm forward. So let's dive right in. Now, this topic came up the other day because I was having a conversation with Brooks Derrick. He's a personal injury attorney in South Carolina. And I was asking him about, top 3, whether he does the top 3. And he says, that's actually one of my goals out of Denver, because we had our mastermind recently, and he wants to do it more often. And so I asked him, I said, well, do you find the top 3 to be effective? He said, absolutely. It's extremely effective. Helps me get more done. At the end of the day, I feel a lot better about what I've achieved. And I said, well, do you have a process for it? And he said, no. And so I said, okay, I pushed a little bit further, and I said, okay, well, if you had a process, do you think you would do it more often? And he said, absolutely. Actually, he said, heck yeah. And so I do have a recommendation for a process that I use. I'll get to a little bit later, but the idea is that you've got to have a process for it. So I can tell you to do this until I'm blue in the face, but the reality is if you don't have a process, it will not matter. But let's get a little bit more into just sort of understanding the whole concept. And the idea here is simple, but it's transformative. Every day, write down your top 3 most important tasks. And what are the things that, if you complete them, will make the most significant impact on your goals and your firm? You want to focus on those before anything else. It's very simple. Now, why just 3, right? Why not that long list that you have? Because that long list remains a long list because nothing is important on it. And it's about balance. One task, in my opinion, might be too little unless it's a very big task. It's going to take quite some time. There have been times where I just had one thing that I needed to accomplish a day because I knew it was a pretty big task. But 3 is a very good balance between, 1 and 5. I think that 5, it gets too overwhelming. 5, it can be really, really tough to achieve. 3 gives you a target that's achievable yet impactful, and it allows you to concentrate on what matters most without spreading you too thin, because that is a definite concern. You do not want to spread yourself too thin by giving yourself too many things to do. You want to identify your top 3 tasks, but it's not always a straightforward way of doing things. It's always very straightforward in figuring out what your top 3 are. But what you want to do is you want to think about your long-term goals and what daily actions will bring you closer to achieving them. So if you've not yet thought about your long-term goals, that's something you're going to want to do. And once you've done that, you're going to want to tie those to those long-term goals. If you're working on growing your law firm, for example, maybe it's reaching out to potential referral partners. You could also say it's maybe reviewing a critical case or working on a specific case. If it's one of the A cases in your drawer, or it could be working on your marketing strategy. If again, your goal is to grow your firm, you need to figure out what your vision is for your goal for your firm, and then tie those top 3 to your daily activities. The next part really comes down to execution. Once you've identified your top 3 tasks, it's time to execute. Okay. No questions asked. You've got to execute. You need to dedicate the first hours of your workday to these tasks. You got to eat that frog, put away the distractions, shut down the emails, and you need to focus. If you knock out these tasks, you're now setting yourself up for a successful day. Some people would even say, once you've done those, you can quit for the day. I wouldn't go that far, but once you've done that, you've now had a successful day. So knock those out first. And it's really all about having that process in place. Now, I'm going to tell you something that I do, really effective, but come up with what works best for you. I've got an automated text that actually I send to myself every single morning. That's something that I've done through Shortcuts, the Shortcuts app on my iPhone. And I send a form to myself that I've created in Zoho Forms. You can do, Google Forms, you can do Google Docs, you can do a spreadsheet, whatever you want. But that is texted to me in the mornings. I fill it out and boom, done. This is also something you could do in Zapier. You could send yourself an email. You could send yourself text messages. You could send yourself a message in Slack, whatever works best for you. But have a way of tracking this and filling it out. That way it keeps you on track every single day. The benefits of this approach go beyond just getting things done. By focusing on these most critical tasks first, you create this momentum, right? And a sense of achievement early in the day. It's a massive productivity boost that can carry you through other tasks with the energy and focus that you had. And it's an energy that can carry you through some of the more difficult tasks that you don't want to do later in the day. I know that the approach, it sounds easy, it is, but it can be tricky. Some of the common mistakes that I see, they include choosing tasks that are maybe too broad or not truly the most impactful. So break down the bigger tasks. And so let's say you have bigger goals in mind. You want to break down the bigger tasks into smaller, achievable parts, and be honest with yourself about what really needs to get done that day. Really, really important part of it. You got to be honest with yourself about it. In our profession, as law firm owners, this approach is especially beneficial because we have so many cases, clients, other administrative duties. We're running law firms, but focusing on these top 3 can keep you on track and ensure you're making progress in areas that matter most. That's what's really important. It's what matters most. You got to focus on those things. Mastering your top 3, it's not just a productivity hack. It's really a mindset. It's about knowing what matters most and having the discipline to focus on those things first. So, as law firm owners, we juggle a lot. We juggle a lot of different responsibilities. But if you adopt this approach, the top 3 approach, you're going to be able to create clarity, you're going to be able to drive progress, and you're going to be able to achieve a lot more. So try this method tomorrow. I encourage you to try it tomorrow. Don't delay. Don't say I'm going to do it next week. Try it tomorrow. If you're listening to this early in the day, try it today. Doesn't matter if it's the weekend. Do it today. Do it tomorrow. And write down your top 3 tasks and make them your priority. And then you're going to notice the difference it makes in your day. It's going to make a significant impact. But I'm going to wrap things up. I do want to hear from you. So if you want to hear about you doing this approach and some of the other things that we've talked about on the podcast, share your experiences with me. Send me questions, send me other topics for future episodes. Text me at 314-501-9260. And together we'll continue to grow and learn. This is a learning process for all of us. Also stay tuned for our next episode, Cultivating Success, the Influence of Your Inner Circle on Goal Attainment. Until then, remember, imperfect action will always beat perfect inaction. Take care.
Thanks for listening to the Maximum Lawyer Podcast. To stay in contact with your host and to access more content, go to MaximumLawyer.com. Have a great week and catch you next time.